Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Bachara. I am a junior. I'm a junior at Drake University and Brian's housemate. This is a story of how God has changed my life. First, I'd like to pray. God, I just thank you for what you've done. I thank you and praise you for how you've transformed my life. I thank you for bringing all these people here tonight. I pray that you would calm my nerves and that you would be magnified in this story. God, I also pray for Caleb tonight, his message, that we would walk away from tonight just knowing you and being more in awe of you. And I ask these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. So, I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church, surrounded by a loving family. We went to church every week, and I went to religious education classes up until high school, and then I joined the high school group there. I knew that God was real, and that Jesus died for the sin of the world, but that's kind of as deep as it went for me for a lot of the time. I thought I was going to heaven because I generally did the right thing, and I wasn't as bad as everyone else. I figured I was around like the 90th percentile in terms of morality, and combining that with going to church every week and praying, that should be good enough for God to let me into heaven. I was often applauded for my character as well as my academics and music, and that led to a couple different things. It led me to place my worth in those things and get very upset whenever I didn't succeed. It also pressured me to keep up this facade so that people would only ever see me at my best. And it also fueled a lot of my pride. It caused me to look down on other people who weren't doing the same things I was doing. At times, both intentionally and not, I would treat other people as if they had less value for something just as silly as not having the same grades as me at school. I remember hearing the gospel preached to me for the first time in the summer before my senior year of high school, when I started checking out a new church. I understood that I was sinful and that I had done things that a holy God would absolutely detest. But what I didn't understand until then was that no amount of volunteer work or regular church attendance could make up for the chasm that I had driven between myself and God. Isaiah 64:6 says that all of us have become like one who is unclean, and all of our righteous acts are like filthy rags. Thinking anything else is, in a way, just trying to bribe God, try to buy our way into his kingdom. James 2:10 says that for whoever keeps the entire law and yet stumbles at one point is guilty of breaking it all. We deserve nothing but eternal separation and punishment from the God who created us because of our rebellion against him. And if the story ended there, that's where we would all be. Thankfully, it doesn't. The only way that we can be made right with God is if he takes the punishment for our sin himself. And so he sent his son, Jesus, to live the perfect life that you and I couldn't, and to die on the cross to take the punishment for our sin. By trusting in Christ's goodness and not our own, we're made right with God, and he sees us not as our sin, but as the perfection of his son. I think it was around the end of the summer that I became a Christian. I started reading the Bible. I didn't have a whole lot of direction in terms of older Christians in my life to teach me. Fast forward to my time at Drake. I started Drake in the COVID year. I really did not like Drake. I was very homesick. I called my family and friends from back home a lot. I spent a lot of time in my room. I read the Bible, and I would watch sermons from my home church occasionally, but that's just not the same as being in fellowship with believers. I met some people in campus fellowship that were fun to hang out with, but I really wanted to leave Drake. I thought I was either going to transfer somewhere or drop out and do something else. And I talked to my parents about it a lot, and they said that I should just stick it out through the rest of the year and see where that ended up. And stubbornly, I decided I was not going to form relationships with people at Drake because that would make it harder for me to leave. Eventually, in April, I was invited to Big Blue for Pancake Palooza. Shout out, Jason. It's a late night, just have a bunch of pancakes during Drake relays. And I ran out of excuses not to go and spend time with people. I was really glad that I went. I saw a group of people that genuinely cared about everyone that was there. And I just saw Christ's love reflected so well that night. And I wanted to be part of that community. Over the last year and a half, I've learned so much in my walk with God. I've experienced much joy as well as some hardships during this time. And it's wonderful just to know that God is never changing. He's provided his word as well as his people to lean on in all things. Recently, I've kind of been really wrestling with like my motives and like just why I'm doing what I'm doing in life, and if I'm truly giving everything in my life to God. And I constantly think back to what has, for a while, been one of my favorite verses, which is John 15:13. It says, "Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends." If Jesus Christ laid his life down for you and me, how could we not give him anything besides our whole life? If you have any questions, I would love to chat with you after the message. Thank you for listening.